Hey guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Linda and today I'm going to be talking about how I became a UX designer in less than a year with no experience or design degree. So before I get into the video, there are three things I do want to cover today. The first thing is my journey of how I got to choosing UX design as a career. Secondly, what did I do to learn on my own as a self-starter? And lastly, how I landed my first internship within that year. So in terms of my journey, it was definitely a long one. Initially, I went to university for bio and psych to ultimately become a pediatric oncologist. And for those who don't know what that is, it's basically a doctor who treats children with cancer. And then after I graduated university, I decided that I didn't want to pursue that anymore, just because I wasn't really able to explore the creative side of my skills. That being said, I used to dance and I was really into fashion, so I wanted the opportunity to try that out before committing into, becoming a doctor, you could say. So I moved to Toronto, went into college and started studying fashion, and as you can probably guess, I dropped out after a year of studying that, just because even though I was able to explore my creative side, I wasn't able to really hone in my analytical and problem-solving skills that I had from university. So then I kind of had a quarter-life crisis, you could say. I was having a really hard time figuring out what I wanted to do with my life. So I sat down and I really thought about it, and I knew that I ultimately wanted those two skills to come together and find a career in that. But of course, I didn't really know what was out there, and I knew that I wanted to help people and make a positive impact to the society. And fortunately, my boyfriend, who's also a UX designer, suggested that I try UX design. So I said, why the hell not? And I started to do my research, and then my boyfriend also became my mentor throughout this process. And that is when my journey started in June 2018. Then I started my learning and researching process of what UX design was. The very first thing I did was use Google. It was literally my best friend and still is. I just realized that there are so much resources online that are also for free, and that is where I came about finding free courses, free classes in Toronto. So that's the second thing I did. I went to BitMaker and took an intro to UX design and intro to HTML and CSS. And even though I was learning just the basics of everything, that is what really got me into UX design, and that's what really intrigued me into wanting to learn more. So after being very intrigued of UX design, I went home and then I started YouTubing a lot of stuff. I came across some very knowledgeable people in the industry. So the very first person I watched was Chung Buns, and I watched her because she was very relatable in the sense that she also didn't have the experience or design degree. And then I started watching Mike Locke. He is a design expert. I watched him in the sense of the step-by-step of what you can do to become a UX designer, and videos on like what you can do for the lack of experience that you have, some tips on resumes and interviews, portfolio tips, and just so much more. And then later on in my process, I started watching Jesse Showalter, and I watched him more for the technical aspects of design, so like the nitty-gritty of UI design. And then I started watching The Future, and I watched him more for business aspect of design and just personal branding itself. So as I was using YouTube, I started using Interaction Design Foundation as well, and that's basically an educational organization that posts courses and programs on there for only $14 a month, I believe, Canadian, which is super cheap. At the time, I was actually using it for free because my boyfriend had an account, so technically I was learning for free. I started taking courses on like intro to UX, what UX was, the design principles, the design process, and like HCI and stuff like that. Stuff that you would learn probably during school. And then during that course, they mentioned that I would need a portfolio, and that's exactly what I did next. So then I started creating my portfolio, and the resource that I went to for that was Medium. That was definitely my go-to. I would look up case studies and projects for inspiration, ideas, what I could do, and then also learned about what not to do, what to do, and just led me in the right direction of how to create my portfolio. I'll link some of the articles and projects that I actually went to down below, so you can check that out. My biggest problem about creating my portfolio is figuring out what projects to even create in the first place. Just because there are so many different ways you can go about it. You could redesign a website or an app. You could redesign just one feature of an app. Or you can even create a project from scratch. My mentor said just create projects from your own experiences, from your own problems that you have on a daily basis, and you can go about it from that. So in total, I had 3 projects. 2 were redesign case studies, and 1 was a app creation from scratch. I can also link my portfolio down below for you guys to see that. It's not great, but it's something. But creating my portfolio took around 3 months, 1 month for each project, and then that took me from July 2018 to the end of September. So after creating my portfolio, I started to reach out to people on LinkedIn. That's because even though I had a mentor, I wanted to get more advice and feedback from other designers in my community. And this is also very helpful for those who don't or who can't access a mentor as easily as I did. I think this is the best way to reach out to people who could potentially be your mentor. So then I reached out to fellow designers in my community who worked at companies that I like to work for. And I think this is very important just because you don't want to reach out to everyone and anybody just because you don't have a purpose for that, right? And I feel like you want to reach out to people who you genuinely want to learn from and want to know more about as well. So that's what I did. I asked for a coffee chat with all these people, and reality of it, not everyone's gonna reply. And for those who did reply, yes, I went for a coffee chat or like just messaged them through LinkedIn, and I learned more about their role at the company, what is expected in a real world of a job. And it just gave me a sense of what I needed to do in order to even get a job in the first place. And lastly, as I mentioned earlier, having a mentor is very important. They're there to help you, give feedback, and give you challenges throughout your journey as becoming a designer. And they also open up new opportunities for you in the future as well. And the last thing I do want to talk about is how I landed my first internship within that year. After finishing my portfolio, I sent out my first round of applications from November to December, and that time I got no callbacks. I just think it was one, bad timing, two, also I didn't have the experience. So then during that time, I did, of course, more research on how to prepare for interviews, what to do to stand out and stuff like that. And then I had another round of applications sent out in January, and luckily I was able to get some callbacks and interviews. And also I got a company interested in me. So I went through a phone interview and then did a portfolio review with the designer there. And then they gave me a design challenge, which then I presented to the managers involved. And then they ended up taking me in as a summer intern from May 2019 to August 2019, and which I am forever grateful for. I learned so much from them. And then in the last month of my internship, which was in August, I started looking for full-time positions as a UX designer, obviously. And I was able to land one. So that is where I am at the moment. Now a full-time position as a UX marketing designer, and I'm so excited, I can't wait. And I'll take you guys on my journey. I'll let you know how it goes. But yeah, so that is my journey of how I became a UX designer in less than a year with no experience or design degree. And I just wanted to make this video for those who are in the same position as I am as a self-starter. I know it can get very discouraging and very hard in the beginning, but I just want you to know that it's very worth it. Additionally, I just want to let you know that this whole process did not take me to spend $10K on a boot camp or a course. So this is my way of how I coped with the situation. And just know that it's possible. You don't need to spend the big bucks. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, learned a thing or two, and I'll be posting more videos in the future about my journey as a UX designer. And I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye guys.